This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. We're looking into exactly what was used to stab a student inside Grand Oaks High School in Spring Monday morning. Police say both the victim and the alleged suspect are juveniles and say the school day continued after the incident. Jason Miles with more.
In a school with more than 3,700 students, most may have been unaware this morning that some sort of altercation led to a stabbing until an official announcement was made.
This morning at around 9 a.m., a physical altercation between two students occurred at Grand Oaks High School that resulted in one student sustaining 3 stab wounds.
According to Conroe ISD, the stab wounds were, quote, shallow, and the juvenile victim was taken to a hospital while the juvenile suspect was quickly apprehended by officers on campus.
This appears to be an isolated incident, and there is no ongoing threat to students or staff.
One mother who doesn't want to be identified says the young man who was stabbed is one of her daughter's friends.
I don't think it's a knife because it was something like a puncture. So I don't think it was that, but it's just the thing that it happened.
Like others, she says she got an email and text about the incident.
You know, they really try to contain things and make sure that we are aware.
Just kind of shocked that something like that was able to happen.
Senior Nathan Green was in band class when he found out about what happened and was later relieved to learn no one he knows was part of it.
My heart goes out to the family and the kid involved. I really hope he has a speedy recovery.
As do we. That was Jason Miles reporting. What started as a trail ride gathering in Northeast Houston spiraled into chaos and gunfire. Police say 6 people were shot outside a strip center on Homestead Road over the weekend. 2 of them teens. 1 man later died at the hospital. Michelle Choi shows us new surveillance video of that night and talks to an employee at one of the businesses.
In the daylight, the aftermath is impossible to miss. Trash and debris scattered across the strip center parking lot, crime scene tape, and evidence markers. Houston police spent more than 13 hours here processing the scene after a shooting turned deadly. Surveillance video obtained by KH11 shows what the scene looked like hours before gunfire erupted. A sea of cars, people riding horses, ATVs. An employee at a business, a grocery store, asked to remain anonymous. It says it started around 1:30 Saturday afternoon when trail ride groups began showing up.
They're coming in by the groups of 10, 20, 30.
She says their business was quickly overwhelmed and later vandalized. By early evening, she says they made the decision to close.
We closed really early. We closed maybe like 5:30 because we just couldn't handle it anymore.
That's when tensions escalated. Video shows men on horses outside the doors.
They have like 4 or 5 horses standing blocking my entrance. They say, if you don't let us in, we're going to come in with the horse.
Then just before 8 o'clock, gunfire erupted. Police say following an altercation behind the strip center.
We were about to leave, and then I heard like boom, 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 like a whole bunch of them. Over a dozen.
Surveillance video shows people scattering across the parking lot. Several appear armed.
And then finally I heard a girl start screaming, so I said, okay, somebody's hurt. And sure enough, it was.
Police say 6 people were shot. 2 victims were teenagers, a 15-year-old who remains in critical condition, and a 24-year-old man later died at the hospital. The employee says police were called 6 to 7 times by store workers and nearby residents, but claims officers didn't arrive until hours later.
Instead of going in there, getting them away from us, so if we need to shut down or talk to us, no. They're standing out here directing traffic until chaos broke.
We reached out to Houston police to ask for a timeline of calls for service. A spokesperson says those details won't be available until Monday, but says officers initially responded to traffic hazards after vehicles blocked surrounding roadways when they heard gunshots. Police believe multiple shooters were involved. In Northeast Houston, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
And we later talked to the aunt of the 24-year-old man who was killed. She says she is demanding answers. It is part treasure hunt, part chaos, and all about the deals. Bin stores becoming one of the hottest shopping trends in Houston. People digging through bins for everything from shoes to electronics at rock bottom prices. Marcelo Benito shows us why these stores are exploding in popularity and what you should know before you go.
Welcome in everybody.
It's all about the hunt. And inside Black Friday deals, that hunt never really ends.
It's like Christmas every day, every Friday.
Shirley Smith dives into the bins every week, never knowing what she'll find buried inside.
It's really cute.
Binge shopping, a full contact sport.
How much does luck play into it?
You need muscles. No.
How many boxes do you think they open a day?
I believe so, over 4,000 boxes.
Store manager Abdullah Jabara has watched the controlled chaos play out for years.
90% of all these customers come back daily, and some of them come in the day 2-3 times.
Bin stores like his are booming.
How popular is this concept among shoppers?
Everybody looking for these stores because everybody are looking to save money.
Bin stores buy pallets of returned merchandise, things like electronics, clothes, or home goods, from retailers like Amazon, Walmart, or Target.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You get to buy it.
Do you want a bag?
At flat prices.
We never know what's inside these products. We open the pallet, we throw them to the bins.
On Fridays, anything in the store's 120 bins costs only $10.
2 weeks ago, a lady found in a brown box. She doesn't know what's in this box. She took it to the open box station to check what's inside. She opened it and she found a brand new iPhone 16 for $10, yes.
Prices then drop every day. By Wednesday, whatever's left in the bins sells for just $1, no matter what.
People found Apple Watches without these here for $1. People screaming when they found a good product. People like happy, people calling family, oh, I found this, I found it.
Jabara says it's like Black Friday every single day, with most customers spending 3 to 4 hours each visit. There are deals to find, he says. All you need is a little luck and a lot of patience.
Do you feel like it saves you money?
Oh yeah, and we could go buy it new, but it's so fun to get that bargain. That's the fun part.
And this bin store phenomenon is not going anywhere. In 2025, the National Retail Federation estimated Americans returned $850 billion of goods, and that includes nearly 20% of all online purchases. Plenty of inventory and plenty more deals for bin store shoppers. Back to you.
Thank you, Marcelino. Need a little luck, a little patience, and a little muscle? All right. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. San Antonio leaders are weighing their options amid concerns about a possible ICE processing facility on the east side. A council member says the sale of a warehouse could be finalized as early as the end of the week. People who live and work nearby tell Meredith Haas that they strongly oppose the plan.
Too scared to go on camera or even have their voices recorded because of the nature of this topic. A handful of residents I spoke with in this area say they don't want an ICE facility in their backyards, but on top of that, they don't want the unwanted attention, along with feeling that other residents may be targeted or even racially profiled.
Hey y'all, it's Councilman Jalen McKee Rodriguez here with
an urgent message to keep an ICE processing facility out of San Antonio and hold the Oakmont Industrial Group responsible.
Human dignity is routinely violated. These facilities do not belong anywhere in our communities.
Councilman McKee Rodriguez asking people to call those who own the warehouse. This morning, Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones responding to KENS 5.
Nobody wants this in our community. Let's be very clear. The idea that we would have this in our city is quite troubling. The lawyer is looking at some options here as we again hear from our community about their very real concerns.
We reached out to the city again about where this possible sale stands, but they continue to say in part, quote, the city has not been notified ICE may be considering a facility on the east side. If bought or leased by ICE, the city has no zoning authority under federal law. The facility also wouldn't have to follow city zoning rules, processes, or permitting requirements.
Real concern in our community about what that detention facility would mean for us.
Out in the community, a nearby apartment complex telling KENS 5 they are waiting to see what will happen to determine how to respond to residents, while homeowners feel their community may be targeted having an ICE facility nearby, specifically pointing out their community primarily consists of Hispanic people who could be targeted. We reached out to DHS, ICE, and the Oakmont Industrial Group multiple times, and we have yet to hear back. If you want to hear more from San Antonio leaders, including the mayor, head on over to KENS5.com. On the east side, Meredith Haas, KENS 5.
A man is behind bars charged with aggravated sexual assault. Police say the victim is a 71-year-old woman. Rania Kaur explains how the victim's family helped identify the suspect.
46-year-old Alton Partridge is still in the Bexar County Jail. In court documents, he was arrested on Thursday, the same day he's accused of sexually assaulting the woman. In court documents, the woman told police that a man entered her apartment through a window while she was sleeping. When she woke up, police say she tried to get away from her attacker, but was unsuccessful. After the alleged assault, police say she called her son, who once lived at that apartment, and told police he had friends who would come to his window and ask for him. In court documents, the woman told police that a man entered her apartment through a window while she was sleeping. Partridge is charged with aggravated sexual assault. His bond is set at $150,000. Rania Kaur, KENS 5.
Northside ISD confirms 2 students have faced disciplinary action after a gun was found on campus last week. One of them was in juvenile court on Monday morning. Sue Kalberg has the story.
The teen's attorney told Judge Crushaw there is cell phone evidence showing this teen, who has no previous charges, was set up.
This is his first referral to the department.
A probation officer agreed this teen has not been a troublemaker.
Says he generally has good behavior in school, and that he's usually passing his grades.
Your Honor, we are asking to be released on ankle monitors. This is his first offense.
The defense attorney says this teen is a good candidate for release, alleging another teen brought the gun to school.
Another student gave him the weapon. There's actual evidence on his cell phone where that other individual has been texting him.
Dumb mistake, dumb choice that I wish I could come back from.
The teen admitted he made a bad choice.
There's no reason whatsoever that you should have took that gun. He set you up, but you had the gun on school campus. There's consequences to that.
This teen will remain in custody, and he'll be back for another hearing in 1 week. Northside ISD does confirm a second student is facing disciplinary action as well.
The lawyers on both sides agreed they will be examining that cell phone to see exactly what happened as the investigation continues. At the Juvenile Justice Center, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
A wrong-way driver was killed after a head-on crash along I-35 on the east side. The wreck happened just after 4 on Monday morning and involved multiple vehicles. Simone Simpson has the latest.
According to SAPD, they say this is the second fatal wrong-way crash for 2026. The police department recorded a total of 5 fatal wrong-way crashes for the entire year of 2025.
One person is dead and another was hospitalized early Saturday after a wrong-way crash on a northeast side highway. Officers were called to the 4400 block of I-35 northbound around 4:15 in the morning for a major crash involving multiple vehicles. Investigators said a man believed to be between 30 and 40 years old was driving southbound in the northbound lanes when he collided head-on with a vehicle driven by a 62-year-old man.
The suspect's vehicle went airborne after the initial impact and then struck an 18-wheeler, according to police.
The wrong-way driver was pronounced dead at the scene. The 62-year-old man was taken to a local hospital with injuries that were not considered life-threatening.
SAPD said the driver of the 18-wheeler was not injured. Reporting from the northeast side, Simone Simpson, KENS 5.
And that's the news in San Antonio.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
We are expected a midweek cool down with a bit of a weak cold front, but those cooler temperatures are not going to last too long as warmer temperatures will return this weekend. I'm meteorologist Andy Mead. With this weak cool front that we're going to be expecting, there could be a few opportunities of a few showers and maybe even a couple rumbles of thunder, especially pointing east of I-35 with into portions of Houston, even Beaumont, and up into portions of Tyler. With that weak cool front, it will bring some cooler temperatures just a little bit for our Tuesday, especially more further north of the I-20 corridor, especially along into portions of West Texas, around a 3 to 5 degree temperature drop alongside portions of North Texas. But the further south that you go, really temperatures are not going to take too much of a hit for today. We'll take more of a hit heading into tomorrow, though, for Wednesday, as we're going to pick up on some northerly winds pretty much area-wide across the Lone Star State, in which I think Wednesday could be the coolest day in the forecast, but it's not really going to last long. High pressure is really going to begin to take control into the region. So out for Tuesday morning, we'll be able to see a little bit of some fog along into near I-35, especially along I-10. And with that, I think most of the moisture is going to mostly remain southeast, not much in the way of moisture. Hence some of the cooler temperatures around 40 into Midland, 31 in Amarillo, but be around 57 in Austin and 56 into San Antonio. Daytime highs looking more of the same, a bit more of those lower to middle 60s along into North and West Texas, a bit more of those middle to upper 60s and lower 70s along I-35, pushing down to the coastal bend. A lot of us could even reach a bit more in the way of those 80s heading it throughout much of our Tuesday. And we can see what some of that moisture is going to be a bit more stronger, at least when it comes to those higher dew points, giving it a muggy feeling throughout the day. Here's where the cool front's going to pass through. We're going to have a few bit in the way of some kind of isolated to widely scattered showers, mostly along into East Texas. Going to remain fairly dry the more further west and north that you go. We'll be able to see this cool front move through, bring in a few storms during the rush hour along into the Houston metro. This will push more further south, going to be out of the region by taking it offshore as the cold front advances further southward as we head into the later portions of your evening. But otherwise, mostly everyone else is going to remain dry throughout the rest of Tuesday. Heading into Wednesday, we can see these kind of white lines, what we call streamlines. They're really going to begin picking up. That's indicating some of those windier conditions. It's going to be due to this area of surface high pressure. It's going to go around this area of high pressure, bringing in those breezy northerly winds. We can see gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour, especially along into West Texas and the Panhandle, mostly along I-35 pointing east. I think we'll keep those gusts around 15 to 20 miles an hour as we go throughout much of our Wednesday. But temperatures will be cooler, though. We'll see a mix of more of those kind of middle to upper 50s, even some lower 60s and middle 60s further south down into Corpus Christi. And then I really think heading into Thursday morning, it's going to be quite a chilly morning. I think we'll see a mix of 20s and 30s along West Texas, middle to upper 30s along I-35, even some 40s pointing south around 47 into Corpus Christi heading into Thursday morning, excuse me. But temperatures will be able to rebound rather comfortably. We'll see a mix of some 50s and 60s. A lot of us are going to be relatively near normal heading into Thursday. It's going to be quite nice. Working throughout the next 3 days, though, we're going to be rather breezy again heading into West Texas, heading into today and tomorrow along into portions of Central Texas. Not as breezy as portions of West Texas. We'll see those gusts around 20 miles per hour as we go throughout much of our Wednesday. Same song and tune along into portions of South Texas, really up into the valley. We're going to stick with the 80s, but we'll be able to see a noticeable cool down heading into around Wednesday and Thursday. That goes the same for portions of East Texas and especially North Texas. Will be rather cool on Wednesday, back into the 50s, warming up into some 60s area-wide throughout the Lone Star State, even some 70s mixing in, and that's when we're going to start seeing more of at least those warmer temperatures return. It's going to be due to this ridge of high pressure. This is the storm system that is bringing those kind of cool fronts and breezier conditions. This is going to move all the way off into the east as this ridge of high pressure is really going to be able to start to settle in as we head into the late week, into the weekend. But we are watching a small storm system. It may try to be able to approach, increase some lift as well, maybe some moisture heading into early next week. Models are not really keen on this. It's going to be dependent on how long that ridge of high pressure wants to hang on to control. The Euro and the GFS is generally keeping it more of kind of an isolated to widely scattered chance. Best chance along into West Texas looks to be rather limited the further east that you go. This is around Monday. We still have some time to fine-tune the forecast, but something we're keeping an eye on as there is a general, at least good consensus of some increased precipitation chances along West Texas, at least from the Weather Prediction Center. But temperatures overall, we look to get back into a rather toasty season. I don't think anyone is complaining about that. So we'll have a bit of a quick cool down heading into around Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to be warming back up slowly as we head into Thursday and Friday as high pressure takes back control into the region. Some of us, especially along into the valley, could even see a little bit more in the way of some 80s. We could cool down a little bit as we head into early next week, dependent if that storm system wants to approach. But generally, we look to stay into the 60s and 70s into early next week.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your headlines from North Texas. Authorities have arrested an inmate who escaped from jail using a transport van. Scoop Jefferson walks us through what happened from Fort Worth.
The dramatic capture of an escaped inmate on the run for more than 2 hours in North Fort Worth, recorded by Chopper 8 Monday afternoon. Tarrant County deputies located inmate Carlos Romero on the grounds of a mobile home manufacturing company. Sheriff Bill Wayburn explained how Romero's got away during transport Monday morning around 11:45.
He's a little fella, and once on the van, was able to slip out of the cuffs, jimmy the door, which we're checking into, and he left the van.
That sparked the 2-hour-plus manhunt. Deputies had just picked up Romero here at the Green Bay facility in North Fort Worth.
He was due in felony court on aggravated robbery charges.
Multiple agencies assisted deputies, setting up a perimeter during the search. Concerned about the safety of him and his co-workers nearby, Christopher Morales started asking questions about their area being flooded with so many police officers from different agencies.
One was parked outside of my plant, and I approached the officer, asked him if we needed to shut our gates, asked what was going on.
As more and more officers responded to the area where Romero got away, the search intensified. More than 2 hours later, once getting Romero back in custody, deputies walked him to a sheriff's SUV. He had apparently removed his inmate clothing and ditched his shoes. This time, deputies secured him in the back seat.
Cold and tired. He'll be going back to jail.
A relief for Christopher Morales.
Thank God, our facility is closed in with gates. You have to have a card or be buzzed in to get in.
Thankful they stayed safe at work during the inmate escape. In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Starting this week, families in Texas will be able to apply for school vouchers. Tia Wall shows us why private schools are pushing to inform parents and what you need to enroll.
Okay, are you ready?
The time is nearly here.
Cards, yes. Okay, let's do cards.
When families can apply for public money to send their children to private school in Texas.
We want to K through 12, primarily low income and special needs. Those are the priority of the legislature when I voted on the legislation and of our office.
Good job.
Students like those who learn here.
Oh, good job.
Here at Green Oaks, the students that we serve all have intellectual disabilities. So Down syndrome, autism, other disabilities that would fall in that category.
This is a school that's excited about the new Texas Education Freedom Accounts coming to the state.
Since October, we've been having webinars, Zoom meetings, just to share information. The way the federal law is written for special education students, there's a very lengthy timeline to get an IEP, to get that evaluation.
And those come from public schools.
Up to $30,000 a student.
Correct.
What does that do for a school like you guys?
That's huge. I mentioned our tuition has never covered what our operating costs have been.
Starting February 4th, parents can log on to the website and apply. If accepted, those funds can go toward one of the more than 1,500 private schools already enrolled in the program. Weidman is optimistic it'll be a success.
The more people who apply who don't get it, that will be used in future legislative sessions to determine how much money they budget for this in the future. So I'm telling everyone, if you're interested in the program, apply for it.
In Arlington, I'm Dia Wall.
One of the fastest growing cities in Dallas County is building a new municipal complex, but some neighbors tell us it could negatively affect a park. Tiffany Liu has more on the development in Rowlett and the pushback against it.
The fresh air at Herforth Park.
It's peaceful out here.
Is among many things these neighbors love about Rowlett.
This is one of the few open spaces we have closest to our house.
Their city is changing as they speak, once trees becoming apartments.
Kind of like having the trees there, helps shade the park and takes care of some of that noise you can hear back there.
And many worry acres of Herforth Park could be taken away too.
The original plan that voters approved for this park included a splash pad, a playground, walking trails that you do see, dog park, new pickleball courts.
Living a minute away, Sam Allen was excited for upgrades.
My kids literally prayed for the splash pad to come every single night.
Those little prayers stopped about a month ago when his family realized it could all be squashed.
They're considering cutting some of those things to instead build a municipal complex.
The Rowlett City Council meets Tuesday, and the agenda includes the proposed new municipal complex project, whether they'll consider a new location or take more than 9 acres away from the 24-acre Herforth Park.
The city complex would include a city hall, an animal shelter, and a police station that includes a detention center that would be taking people in and releasing them each day.
He worries for his 4 children and schools nearby.
Not great.
We reached out to multiple city leaders on this issue. Councilmember Elise Bowers tells us she stated her opposition at the last council meeting. She said, quote, "When the idea was first presented, I supported it because I believed it could be fiscally prudent. However, after listening to many of my neighbors throughout the city of Rowlett, it's clear this location is not appropriate for these facilities."
Once green space is gone, it's gone. There's no recouping it.
Many residents have made their concerns known.
I just feel like our parks are under attack here in Rowlett.
And they plan to be heard again Tuesday.
I hope that the vote tomorrow proves that.
In Rowlett, I'm Tiffany Liu.
Right now, high school players, fans, and coaches are digesting the UIL realignment, new rivalries, and a different road to state titles. This afternoon, Luke Clary shows us which powerhouse teams are leveling up, as well as one taking a step back.
It's chaotic, but it's exciting.
It's a frenzy 2 years in the making. Texas schools finding out who they'll play and where they'll land. Football coaches packed the Birdville Fine Arts Complex, scrambling to build schedules before the dust even settles.
You're never ready for what's going to show up on the board.
I'm probably more confused right now than I was when I came here.
This is the biennial UIL realignment, reshaping every Texas public high school sport from basketball to volleyball and, of course, football.
I tossed and turned last night because I'm not used to it, but it's going to be very different for us.
DeSoto head coach Claude Mathis is leading a program used to life at the top into unfamiliar territory.
DeSoto has long been a powerhouse in 6A football, the reigning champions after all. But the next time the Eagles take the field here, they will play as a 5A team, in line with declining enrollment numbers. Other teams moving the other direction, 5A Aledo to 6A, 4A Salina to 5A. And Frisco Wakeland makes history, the first Frisco ISD school to reach 6A.
You're always a little apprehensive about moving up to the highest level that the state has to offer, but at the same time, there's a little bit of excitement there.
New districts.
Good teams in every district. It's going to be a challenge.
New challenges.
You don't want it easy. You don't want it easy. Let's play the best. Let's go get it.
But for everyone, the countdown to Friday Night Lights starts now. In North Richland Hills, I'm Luke Clary.
Gotta love that competitive spirit. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. New tonight in the civil lawsuit against suspended Fort Hood gynecologist Major Blaine McGraw. For the first time, McGraw is responding to the allegations while attorneys from more than 80 alleged victims push for a default judgment. 6 News reporter Juliana Jackson has been covering this case from the beginning and shares the latest updates.
For months, 6 News has covered the allegations against suspended Fort Hood OBGYN Major Blaine McGraw. He's finally responding, but not the way you'd think. On January 12th, plaintiffs' attorneys filed for default judgment, claiming McGraw never responded to their November lawsuit. But from the Bell County Jail, McGraw filed 2 handwritten motions fighting back. In his 13-page motion to dismiss, McGraw doesn't deny the allegations. Instead, he argues the case belongs in federal court, not the Bell County courts. He writes the alleged actions happened at a military facility by a federal employee. He writes, quote, claims within this content are strictly governed by the Federal Tort Claims Act. McGraw also claims attorney Andrew Kobos's press conference and media appearances have contaminated the jury pool. He writes, quote, it would be impossible for a jury of citizens of Bell County to remain unbiased while he's been under military gag orders. He adds, quote, even if jurors somehow manage to avoid the direct messaging, they would nonetheless be indirectly subjected to its influence by virtue of the climate that has been created around the case. McGraw wrote the motion himself, stating he had, quote, no access to the internet, nor any means by which he might seek out competent legal representation while in jail. In his second motion to strike, McGraw argues he was never properly served, claiming the lawsuit was delivered to, quote, a certain JAG receptionist. The judge denied the default judgment, finding plaintiff's attorneys failed to file required federal paperwork. Moving forward, the case puts the more than 80 alleged victims at a crossroads. If the case stays in Bell County, they face McGraw before a jury. But if it moves to federal court, they face the United States government before a judge with no jury at all.
That was Juliana Jackson reporting. In the past 2 months, we've seen 2 highly publicized child abuse cases here in Central Texas. One, a 2-year-old out of Bell County. The other, a 3-year-old in McLennan County caught on camera. 6 News reporter Cindy Walker has more from a healthcare expert on child abuse warning signs to look out for.
A 2-year-old beaten in Bell County. A man in McLennan County caught on video beating a 3-year-old.
We've had, unfortunately, a very high rate of child abuse in Central Texas, particularly Bell County, for many years.
Dr. Amy Murciofsky says this isn't new.
Child abuse happens in our community. One child being abused is too many.
Both cases, the alleged abuser was known to the child.
We were all taught stranger danger as we were growing up, but we also need to teach families and children to be watching out. People that we know, many times children, particularly in sexual assault, kids are assaulted by people that they know and they trust.
From the healthcare side, she says there's some telltale signs.
You see a child with unexplained injuries many times, bruises, burns, cuts, broken bones.
It was the doctors who caught the alleged abuse of the Bell County 2-year-old, saying his injuries were not from falling off the bed as the suspect claimed. Even one small injury can start out minor and become more serious.
Liver lacerations, spleen lacerations, horribly broken bones.
Murciofsky said little kids do get bumps and bruises, but it's about looking for patterns.
If this is a continuous thing, then it's time to start looking.
Children can also show emotional signs.
Children may have fear of adults, parents, caregivers, anxiety, depression.
Whether through art,
drawing things that become violent,
or acting out.
Older kids may start some substance abuse.
One sign stands above the rest.
If your child is telling you someone's hurting them, they are.
Make it clear to the child you're on their side. If you hear anything, report it.
Sit down and talk with your child. If someone is talking to them or trying to touch them or doing things to them that make them uncomfortable, that they should feel comfortable to come and talk to the parent, or they should have a trusted adult.
And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Nick Canizales. The body of an elderly man was found on a lot across the street from the St. Anthony's Cathedral Basilica in downtown Beaumont. Jefferson County Precinct 1 Justice of the Peace Ben Collins Sr. says the man was 75 years old. Now, police and firefighters were sent to the lot just before 12:15 p.m. for a welfare check. Police have not yet released any other information, as they say the investigation is in its early stages. This is a developing story, and we'll update with more if and when we receive more confirmed information. A jury has cleared a Silsbee man of murder, but he's still heading to prison. Bryce Pfeffer was found not guilty of murder in the 2021 shooting death of Jeremiah Grant. However, the jury did convict him on 4 other felony charges, including engaging in organized criminal activity. Pfeffer received a total sentence of 10 years and fines totaling $10,000. Investigators say several people were involved and other defendants in the case still face serious charges. A former star of the reality show Lone Star Law is back in jail, this time in Jefferson County. Justin Eddings, a former Texan game warden, turned himself in this morning on a first-degree felony indictment. Prosecutors say he lied on a personal financial statement in September of 2022, trying to get at least $300,000 in credit. This is now the 4th county where Eddings faces criminal charges. He also has cases pending in Jasper, Sabine, and San Augustine counties. Jail records show his bond has not yet been set. His lawyer maintains Eddings' innocence. Well, the groundhog was not the only one with predictions on Groundhog Day. Southeast Texas's favorite alligator, Big Al, always has his own thoughts about the weather, and he tends to be a little bit more accurate. Big Al lives over at Gator Country in Finette. The 95-year-old 13'4" alligator made his prediction when he took a bite of that Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. Now his handlers say that means spring is coming soon.
This really tells us that it's going to be warm, and when the weather's warm, people come to Gator Country. So we know we better get it in gear around here because the warm temperatures are here, and that brings the crowds.
Now Big Al decides how long winter will stay in the 409, and guess what? I love that prediction from Big Al. Now from Gator Country to the mall now is a place to be. 3 new businesses now call Central Mall home, and new owners say it's been busier than ever. 12 News reporter Daniela Tabwata-Palau spoke to them and all those mall goers about that fast growth.
It's new growth, new ownership.
Southeast Texas businessmen Joe Arif and Sultan Jasani took a leap in July by purchasing Central Mall, and they went right to work.
I would love to, paint the entire inside of the mall, fix the parking lot completely. We did do some of it initially when we first purchased it, and I just want to complete the entire parking lot to where, there's no potholes or anything like that.
Mall goers like Ashley Lynch say she can tell a major difference.
I'm just very glad to see everything coming back to life around here.
In just the past few months, 3 new businesses have announced they're moving in. Five Below, Altitude, and Cece's Pizza. Cece's is the first to fully open, and the support has exceeded expectations.
The response has been phenomenal. We expected it to be good, but we were pleasantly surprised with how well we were received by the citizens in Port Arthur.
Arif says it's not stopping there. 3 new shops are coming soon. He was not able to name names, but gave a few hints.
And we have 3 other large national retailers that we're in heavy talks with, and one of them will take the entire Sears space.
Lynch is already dreaming about what she'd like to see next.
I think we would all love to see an Ulta and maybe an Old Navy. Those are probably my top 2.
No matter what stores move in next, she says the biggest win is having more options closer to home.
We make more of an effort to come and kind of shop local. It's less travel and it's easier to meet up with like your friends and family just to do something kind of local and give back to your community.
Arif said you can also expect a bigger food court, and he said he hinted about a burger place, a pretzel company, and also an ice cream juice bar. And those were just the headlines from Southeast Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
In Austin, I'm Quita Culpepper. We're continuing to see student-led protests against immigration operations at several Central Texas school districts.
Pflugerville ISD students from all 4 high schools, some of the middle schools, have walked or driven and gathered at the Pflugerville Municipal Court, all with one goal.
We are protesting against ICE, as you see.
It's to get ICE out, to stop racially profiling.
We need to show support, we need to raise awareness, we need to protest.
This is just one Central Texas district that saw anti-ICE demonstrations on Monday.
Started on Instagram and reposting using the power of social media in a good way, and we grew a community, and we're here now. If you see over there, Henderson's coming, Conley's coming, we're all coming together, making an impact. It's something, but we're gonna work.
Eli Gutierrez, a junior at Weiss High School, says they're standing with communities in Minnesota.
And also he saw Alex Petty, Renee, Minnesota, taking lives, man. This is ridiculous. So it's just here making a change. Look, they're all coming here now. It's awesome to see.
Students like Donna Hernandez say now ICE activity is impacting families that look like hers.
They're scared to go out because of ICE. They're scared to go to other places. We can't do fun things because we think that ICE will be out in the street.
And that hurts to see.
I feel like I'm about to be in tears because of how hurtful and sad that we have to come to this, to do protests as kids, to stand for other people.
As this is happening, Governor Greg Abbott has directed the Texas Education Commissioner to investigate Austin ISD schools for student-led protests at 14 campuses last week. Attorney General Ken Paxton has also demanded documents from AISD with regard to the walkouts. AISD leaders told parents the district did not sponsor or organize the demonstrations, and any student who left campus to demonstrate would get an unexcused absence. Students like Abdallah Zakzilk says there's no time to be silent.
There's people being kicked off the streets and taken out of their cars and their facilities, all to get deported to ICE facilities. They didn't have the choice, so we don't have the choice. We have to stand up.
And that was reporter Jessica Cha reporting in Pflugerville. And like AISD, Pflugerville, Hayes, and Manor ISDs told us the districts did not sponsor the walkouts at their schools. They encourage parents to speak with students about the consequences of leaving campus to participate. Austin police are telling city staff more about how officers deal with federal immigration agents. During Monday's Public Safety Commission meeting, Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis told commissioners her department does not have the time or resources to conduct immigration enforcement. Now, it comes after a controversial case in early January where officers responded to a disturbance and a woman they spoke with had an administrative warrant issued by ICE. APD notified ICE, and advocates say that led to the woman and her 5-year-old daughter, who is an American citizen, being deported to Honduras. Top APD brass are reviewing general orders and plan to provide clearer guidance on how administrative warrants should be handled. Today, Chief Davis gave a bit more information about what that will mean.
At that point, when an officer does come up and they're holding someone, detaining someone, or investigating a crime only, and they come up with an administrative warrant, if they choose to call ICE, that will then be taken to a commander level.
Chief Davis says the point of this change is to cut down on response times. High school athletic districts have been reevaluated. Now, if you have a high school team that you root for, that probably won't change. But the list of district rivals who you root against is being updated. The Austin area now has 3 6A districts. That's one more than in years past. Vandegrift, Vista Ridge, and Hutto join a brand new 24 6A, which includes schools that recently increased enrollments, like Cedar Park, Eastview, and Leander. Westlake and Lake Travis join District 25 6A. Hayes and Buda Johnson replaced them in District 26. UIL realignment happens every 2 years based on December enrollment numbers. Base Power, one of Austin's fastest growing tech firms, plans to invest $265 million in a new manufacturing facility on Montropolis Drive near Austin's airport. For the past year, the company has been working out of the former Austin American Statesman building on South Congress Avenue. If the City Council approves the agreement this Thursday, Austin's business expansion program would provide the company with about $4.85 million over 10 years. In return, the company would be expected to retain 100 jobs, create 500 full-time positions, and generate nearly $10 million in total benefits for Austin. On Monday, we got a first look at a new $25 million pedestrian and bicycle crossing over Lady Bird Lake. City leaders say the Wishbone Bridge will improve safety and connectivity near the Longhorn Dam at Pleasant Valley Road. It also completes the 10-mile loop of the Ann and Roy Butler hike and bike trail. Adam Bennett gives us an inside look.
When you use Pleasant Valley Road to cross Lady Bird Lake, whether you're on 2 feet or 2 wheels, you're pretty close to vehicles with 4 wheels. Well, soon a safer and more convenient crossing will open.
And there it is, the Wishbone Bridge.
The community in Deering Lake called it
Creepy Tunnel.
The Creepy Tunnel. Thank you.
It's where our media tour started Monday, led by project manager Lori Thiering. The underpass is a wider, taller, better lit, and just plain prettier crossing under Pleasant Valley Road.
This is just such a safer way to cross Pleasant Valley, too, compared to what was here before. Absolutely.
On the other side, we got our first look at the Wishbone Bridge.
Is the connection to Mount Holly Peninsula?
Its 3 legs link 3 points along the shore to the central plaza. There you'll find maraca-shaped benches made by local vendors, shade structures, dark sky lighting, and greenery waiting to bloom.
So it won't look like a metal structure, it'll look like
a shade, a tree.
Yeah.
It'd be like you're sitting under a shade tree.
From beyond the construction fence,
Next week, no, come Saturday at 9:30.
We met people excited for this weekend's grand opening.
Having this new safe bridge away from this busy road makes me feel more safe and comfortable with my dog. And it's beautiful. I get to be down closer to the water.
Now, 19 months after breaking ground, crews are 4 months ahead of schedule, under budget,
I'm excited. It's been a long time coming for a lot of people.
and overjoyed for Austin to experience this too. Adam Bennett, KVUE News.
The project is funded by 2020 Mobility Bond dollars and a federal grant. The city will hold a grand opening celebration on Saturday at 10 a.m.
And old Bee Cave didn't see his shadow, so we're going to have probably 3 more weeks of winter, but nothing really cold.
On Groundhog Day, Central Texas has its own weather predictor, Bee Cave Bob the Armadillo. Monday, Bob did not see his shadow, so Central Texas will have 3 more weeks of winter. Bob has called for an early spring for the past 3 years. And those are the headlines happening in Austin. I'm Quita Culpepper.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. The future of the Corpus Christi Army Depot is on the line, and local leaders are taking the fight straight to Washington. Military advocates, union leaders, and city officials are warning that deep job cuts at CCAD could affect both national security and the South Texas economy at the same time. A delegation from South Texas is in Washington right now. They're meeting face-to-face with federal officials, hoping to stop further cuts at the Corpus Christi Army Depot. Our Michael Gibson has that story.
The South Texas Military Task Force, the Chamber of Commerce, and Mayor Paula Guajardo are all in Washington pressing federal leaders to protect Corpus Christi Army Depot. They say CCAD is not just another military facility, but a key part of national defense and our regional economy.
There is some urgency here. I'd like the community to know that there is some jeopardy in us losing some of the military bases that we have in South Texas. We're here to advocate for our military and for our Navy.
Union leaders say the concern is not theoretical. Dave Berger is president of the American Federation of Government Workers Local 2142. He says CCAD has already seen about an 8% reduction in jobs each year. He says they've also been actively trying to bring in new work.
Customs and Border Patrol, they fly a lot of 60s. The Forestry Department flies a lot of 60s. And so it would be better to keep that internal to the government fixing it, where we can fix it here, where Sikorsky is not raking us over a barrel, taking that work away from us.
Mayor Paula Guajardo warns the next round of cuts could be devastating. She says as many as 1,000 additional jobs could be eliminated, leaving just 1,300 workers in place.
It's very important that we are here in person, making certain that everybody sees us and they understand the urgency of our situation.
Union leaders say CCAD pumps more than $1.6 billion into the South Texas economy every year, and it supports thousands of jobs beyond those gates of the base.
CCAD can show you that they actually repair helicopters cheaper than the private sector. And so we have a good story to tell. We just need to get in the right conversations with the right people.
Now, Corpus Christi City Councilman Mark Scott goes on to say that if CCAD is eventually shut down, well, that could make our Navy base too expensive to continue to operate here. So the job now is to try to convince military leaders and congressmen that any more cuts to CCAD would weaken military readiness and severely impact our economy. Hey, some big country music news that country music fans won't want to miss.
Drinking Jack all by myself. He's choosing Texas, I can tell.
Yeah, that even sounds like country. And you heard her, country music star Ella Langley choosing the Coastal Bend this summer. The star will be performing at the Hilliard Center this August as part of her Dandelion Tour. Langley has hit songs that include Choosing Texas and You Look Like You Love Me. The concert will feature special guests Caitlin Butts and Gabriella Rose. Tickets go on sale this Friday, February 6th at 10 a.m. And that is a quick look at some of what's happening in South Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A Upshur County fire left one man dead and 2 others injured. Now local businesses and organizations are stepping up to help. CBS 19's Ayana Aird has more on how they're supporting the family during this time of need.
Wild West Hair Salon here in Gladewater is turning heartbreak into help. The owner of the salon, Sydney Marie, said once she learned about the deadly fire in Upshur County, it hit close to home. So now she's getting the community together to support a family who not only lost a home, but a loved one. The deadly fire broke out at a home on Hawthorne Drive in Upshur County. Officials say Paul Wooten was unable to escape and died in the fire. 2 other people were injured after jumping from the windows and were taken to the hospital with cuts. The home is now a total loss. In response, the Wild West Hair Salon in Gladewater is collecting donations of food, clothing, and essential items to help the family begin to recover from the devastating loss. Owner Sydney Wall says this tragedy is especially personal for her.
I've suffered a house disaster myself, and it's taken years to get back on track, and I just think the community needs to come together and support this family in their time of need.
Other organizations have also stepped in to help. The Upshur County Emergency Response Team is helping the family, along with the American Red Cross and the Agape House in Big Sandy.
And that's what we're here for. That's what the team, it was put together to help others in our community, our local families. That way we can reach out to them as soon as possible.
If you would like to support the family, you can come here to Wild West Hair Salon Tuesday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5:30. In Gladewater, I'm Ayana Aird.
We're hearing from the family of a motorcyclist hit during a 2021 police chase, and a Cherokee County constable was found not guilty of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon last week. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza spoke with the family of Jerry Stanfield and attorneys who feel like they were failed.
Jury found the defendant, James Quentin Bean, not guilty of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon as charged in the indictment signed.
Jerry Stanfield's mother, Susan Ward, says that verdict left her blindsided.
We've waited 4 years for him to be found guilty, and he wasn't. My son got no justice the first time nor the second time, so.
Ward and her family have since criticized the district attorney's office, saying Bean should have been prosecuted sooner.
Bean should have been indicted within a year of that incident. He should have been prosecuted and the case taken to trial within a year. And if that had happened and that victim had been around to testify, Bean would probably be in prison right now.
Thad Davison is a defense attorney with nearly 25 years of experience.
Bean parked his vehicle out there on the road for the purpose of stopping Stanfield, and Stanfield was seriously injured. Bean created a potentially homicidal situation to stop a non-homicidal threat. That's wrong.
But prosecutors had to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, Bean had acted recklessly when he came to a stop in front of Stanfield's motorcycle.
Those officers inherently work a violent job, and sometimes you have to meet violence with violence.
The state argued that he used a patrol vehicle as a deadly weapon, causing serious bodily injury.
And you can't criminalize the conduct of a police officer just because you somehow disagree with his actions.
We heard from one of 12 jurors on the trial.
It's not an easy task to sit in there and decide somebody's fate.
Juror Brian Barrow claims that the evidence wasn't strong enough to meet the standard to convict him.
We looked at the evidence that was presented in trial and followed the judge's instructions in the law to come to our decision.
Davidson, who says he represented 2 men in an earlier Cherokee County case involving Constable Bean, says it ultimately ended in not guilty verdicts.
Within 5 years, he's going to do something else stupid and dangerous and get somebody else hurt or killed, and people are going to look the other way and say, oh, poor victim. No, we have a bad cop.
He made bad decisions and bad choices, but he didn't deserve any of this.
Ward calls the 2021 incident the second most traumatic experience of her life, second only to losing Stanfield in a separate motorcycle crash in 2023.
It's taken them 4 years. It may take me 5. But we're going to get answers. They owe us that. They owe us at least that much.
For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
And that's a wrap up for East Texas Headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Texas News Now is sponsored by Germania Insurance.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.